Okay, in this video, we will go through the process of making a keychain with a word on it that we can 3D print. Start by selecting the camera and the light and deleting those, and then select your cube. And we're going to give the cube the dimensions of 30 for X, 30 for Y, and 0.9 for Z. So X is 30, Y is 30, and Z is 0.9. We'll come to these other numbers in just a second. Now that we have that, let's go into edit mode by hitting tab. We're going to go to face select by hitting 3 on the three above the letters, or clicking this button here at the top left. Now select the top face, and we're going to use these values, or these commands and values. So select the top, E to extrude, S to scale, 0.735. Then enter. And that will give us a section around the outside that we're going to raise up. Next, let's select these 4 faces. So left click, shift, left click, and left click. Now we're going to extrude, then 0.9. So E to extrude, 0.9, then enter. And that will give us the same amount of thickness from the bottom. And for this section, they're both the same. Now let's go back to object mode. And let's go ahead and add our text. So Shift A, text, and scale that up some. It's kind of hard to see where it is in relation to our border. So if we hit Z and select wireframe, or select this button in the top left here, we can see that border that we created. So select your word, grab it, and get it roughly where you want it. Now let's go ahead and give it the font that we want, because different fonts may be sized differently. So make sure your word is selected. Go to the green letter A in the properties panel, and we're looking for font. We're just going to use regular, and click on the folder here on the right. By default, it opens the fonts already stored on the computer, so you're welcome to look through those and see if you like any of them. So I can just keep opening that folder and open a new font each time until I find something that I like. Now I had you download some fonts, excuse me. So go down to downloads, if that's where you saved it. And I have this one that I've extracted, and I'm going to use it. So go ahead and type whatever words you're going to use. I am typing it with all uppercase. You can type that however you want. And just to review, if you go into edit mode, then you can type like normal. Some fonts, if you downloaded one, may not have an upper and lowercase for each letter, so it might all be the same. But play around with that until you find a font that you like. Once you're happy with your font, you're going to scale that up, grab it, and just line that up. Now, keep in mind, I am looking at it from top orthographic, so 7 on the number pad will move it to the top orthographic, so you're looking straight down. What I'm looking at is the space around my first letter, so I'm trying to make that as even as I can. So this is about 2 boxes, then this is about 2 boxes. Down here is a bit more, so I'm going to move that down on the y-axis, and it looks like if I just do 2 boxes above, and I'm looking at the grid when I say boxes, these little boxes in the background, until I have 2 on each side. Now you can make it larger or smaller, but for this, that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to zoom out. I'm still looking at it from top view, so 7 on the number pad. I'm going to select the cube and go into edit mode by hitting tab or clicking this menu. I'm going to stretch this out, but I don't want to scale because it will distort the thickness of these side pieces. So instead, I'm going to go into vertices select, which is this button or number 1 above the letters. I'm going to box select this half, grab by hitting G, X, and slide this over and just look at it and see if I have roughly 2, and that's pretty close there. So once you have that, we are going to go back to object mode. So that gives us the background for our word. Now let's go back and select our word. I meant to do this earlier, but it's okay. So right now our word is very thin, so we want to give it thickness. So we have our word selected. We're going back to the properties panel to the green letter A. We're looking at geometry. We're going to go to the extrude settings, and we're going to put a value of 0.45 and then enter. You may notice that this is a lot thicker than our keychain background. That's because we haven't applied the scale. Press Control A and scale, and that will fix the thickness of your letters. I'm also going to select the background that's the letters are going to be on. Control A, scale for that, and then select my word again. So if we hit 1 on the number pad and we're looking at it from the front, we can see that our letters are in the bottom half, not in this top section. So if we hit G to grab, Z, 0.9, that will line it up perfectly. So G, letter Z, 0.9, we'll move our letters so that they line up on this base part and they don't stick out too far. Now we are going to make the hole for the keychain to go through. So let's switch back to solid view by clicking this circle. And I want to add a cylinder that is 7, 7, and 7 for the dimensions. So Shift A, mesh cylinder, 7 for X, 7 for Y, 7 for Z. And then I want to move it on the X axis, -19. So G to grab, X, -19. What did I do wrong? -19. There we go. And that puts it right here to the left of this. And this will be where we put the hole for the metal keychain to go through. So we now need to extend this out so that we can have a place for the hole. So we're going to go back into edit mode. We're going to add a loop cut, or 3 loop cuts, I should say. So I'm going to put my mouse right near the center of this side piece. Press Control R, roll my mouse wheel up 2 more times to give me 3 loops, and then double click. And that will give us these sections. Next, go to face select by clicking this button or 3 above the letters. Select 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have those 4 faces selected. I'm now going to grab on the X axis -9.5. So, oh, sorry about that. G to grab, X, -9.5. And that will pull this part out. So we have this sticking out to add the hole for the keychain to go through. We can now go back to object mode. We are going to use the Boolean modifier to cut the hole out. So make sure you have the base of the keychain selected. Go to the properties panel to the modifier tab and type in click add modifier, then type in Boolean. We're going to look for the object setting. We're going to click on the eyedropper and then select our cylinder. Next, select the cylinder, hit H to hide it to make sure that there is a hole there. Now we're ready to send this out as a file format for the 3D printer to be able to print. So we're going to select the word and the background. Then we're going to hit the F3 button above the number 4 on the keypad, and that will bring up a search menu. We're going to search for export STL. This will pull up, and we need to change a setting. So if we look here to the right, we want to include only the items that are selected. If you don't click this, it will also add the little cylinder, and that will plug up the hole. Once you have that selected, go to your documents or Z drive and save those, or save this, and just name it Keychain dash first initial last name. Once you have the naming convention, once you know where it's going to save, and that you have clicked include selected only, click export STL. Last, we'll save this and save that in the same location as your keychain, or the STL file for your keychain, and name it Keychain. And if you could put your name, that I'll leave that up to you. Then last, you will go to Google Classroom. You will submit the file that says STL, and you will submit the Blender file. If you see keychain.blend1, that's a backup copy. You don't need to send that. We can actually just delete that. But I need these two files submitted in Google Classroom. If you have questions about some part, just let me know during class, and I will help you out and get that figured out.